So, Aster, a question for you. Um, so I haven't gotten any reply back from Now, uh, about doing their panel. They may be in Wi-Fi hell. I don't know if you would like to ramble on about Akitas instead, and maybe hopefully that they will still hop on. Um, I don't know how you feel about that or time that you have available.
Um, I don't know how well my mic is on here. It might be absolutely blaring because I'm in the other room.
It
I
sounds just
can
fine to me.
can you hear yourself back on it though? That's the problem.
I do not.
That's interesting. Normally it
It
if I
echoes or
yeah,
huh.
normally echoing. So if it isn't echoing, that's fine. I'll stay here. I haven't got my webcam, but I can potentially just pull something up on the screen and we can
Yeah.
have, have a look at some
Yes.
dogs. Admittedly, Akitas aren't my area of expertise.
Hmm.
But I can ramble about Japanese dogs some more. And
Yeah. Maybe bring up a
I've
little bit about Akitas of what you do know.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe now we'll be able to share like what slides they had later. Uh
admittedly, I've not seen
yeah.
anything from now either, so I'm guessing they're having bad
Yeah.
internet
Yeah, they
problems.
let me know yesterday that yeah, that they were having Wi-Fi issues. And I didn't get a reply today. So I'm like, okay. Uh,
What we
while you're still
do?
here, while our resident dog expert is still here.
So I will pull up what I've got. What I'm gonna do just for interest is let's find my photos from Norway. I'll
Oh,
show you guys.
someone here's something that you probably would know a bit more about is Red Anteater is asking about the difference between Japanese and American Akitas. So
So,
I I know some of that history, but not a ton.
so one of the annoying things about
Oh,
Akita
giveaway code.
history
Um, sorry,
is,
one second.
is
Giveaway code.
oh, oh, let me write it down so I don't lose it. I've just been tracking down all the other ones.
Yeah.
Um, one of the things about Akita history is whoever you talk to will give you a different story. Um, the Akita Club of America, the Japanese Akita Club of America, probably has the best. Hold on, let me just get their website up so I can pull some
Yeah.
data from there. I know the information, but I'd rather have the backup if I'm going to be
Yeah,
talking about it.
absolutely. Sorry for putting you on the spot like
Oh,
this.
I'm happy to talk about dogs. You know
Yeah.
me.
That's
I'll
where I'm
keep
like,
on
"Oh,
talking.
you're still online."
I'm still here. I'll talk about dogs. As obviously they're not my breed, but I can certainly show you the photos I do have. Let me just pull up my screen sharing. So, uh, let's see. So I'll share my Dropbox screen, um, but I'll leave that there for a second. So, um, brief history of Japanese Akitas. So, um, as I said, it's really not like my area, but the breed was split. They were originally Matagi dogs, so they're the large size hunting dog, indigenous breed, same as the other breeds. Bear with me. Hold on. I'm just gonna pull up some more of my notes from last year because I did talk briefly about them last year. Um, oh, no, that's this year's. So the largest breed, and they're mainly preserved by Akiho, which is it's like Nipo and the Kaiken Aigokai that I mentioned earlier, but specifically for Akitas. Can you see the Dropbox thing? Is that show
Yes.
it? Yeah, okay. Because I'm gonna pull up my show photos. so we can look at some nice, pretty dogs. Come on, come on, please work. It loves to work. There we go. There's a nice, pretty brindle. Oh goodness. There we go. um, I truly wish that it would just like show the full screen and not cut off part of it, but you know, there we go. There's a Kai can. Um, and a Hokkaido can. Most of these I haven't got many Akita photos, but I'll try and find one while I ramble. Um, they originated in the Akita area. Came from Matagi hunters, and they were mainly used for hunting large game like boar. The breed had a major setback in World War II, and that's where this restoration period came to. There's a nice one. We'll keep this one up. So the where are we? Don't want to get this wrong because Akita people can be quite hardcore. So, um, Akiho was founded in 1927. It's the Akita Dog Preservation Society, Akita Inu Hozonkai. And it was the first time that they really used the name Akita. They were just Matagi dogs, I believe, prior to that. Nippo came around and included itself, categorizing all the breeds, but Akiho had its own thing, and Kaikenai Gokai had its own thing as well. Where are we? Just so I can keep an eye out for questions and such. Okay. Where are
I
we?
can let you know if there are any questions that pop up in the chat.
Sick, thank you. Where are we? All right, I'm literally just having to double check my own knowledge as I go along here. I can certainly talk about what I know about the breed, but I just want to make sure that I'm right on it. Um, so the breed went through this restoration period where, because prior to that, the the breed had been mixed with various things, which kind of created that black mask that you'd see in the American Akita. They have more wrinkly heads, rounder eyes, looser lips, and skin, because they've been mixed with foreign breeds as well as um, the other Japanese breeds. So there was a lot of interbreeding between all of the Japanese breeds at this time, along with like the now extinct Karafuto Ken and stuff like that. Um, the people that really cared about the breed then kind of wanted to restore it to what it was before this. I don't know for sure if so. The story went that they mixed it during the war to protect the breed. I don't know how true that actually is. If they were truly were bred during the war with German shepherds and stuff to keep the breed, I believe that's true. If it is true, it's because they were any non-military dogs were supposed to be surrendered for food and for using for clothing, so they'd use the fur for clothing. So I believe they mixed the national dogs with Western breeds to try and protect those genes, and I think that is some of where the American Akita came from. Because after that, they went and bred back to what they could to recreate the Akita Inu as it is today. So the modern Akita Inu is kind of a recreation. It was restored from what it had become prior to the war and after the war. They worked really hard to get back to that original look, and some of the people that care about this breed care about it very passionately. So it's a real shame that now and Rio can't talk about it. But let me just see if I can switch my screen to. Oops, switch to. Let's just do entire screen. I don't think there's anything on here that's. Um, so here's some of the. I don't know how well you can see them because they're quite small. Um, some of the breeds in the history of the Akita. So you've got Karafuto Kan. You can see that they look very similar to your big fluffy Akita Inu, the Moku. Um, and then there's, for example, this dog Tetsu is a Kishu Kan. Um, but at the time, they categorized all of the medium Nihon Kan at the same level. So you can kind of see breeds that were used to restore it, how they sort of started coming back from what is considered the American type Akita back down to like this is a newer one, but very familiar type. Actually, I think this kind of looks like Kubo, now on Rio's dog. So, um, so you've
We do
got.
have a couple of questions.
Let's have a look.
I am not knowledgeable in the dog breeding world at all, but if they get mixed with stuff, then how is it still considered a breed?
That's a fantastic question and quite hard to really for me to explain anyway. I believe it depends on when a stud book is opened and closed. So an open stud book kind of means that they are eligible to have crossbreeding put into it. And at that time, Nippo allowed interbreeding between all of the Japanese breeds. So some Kishukan and Shikokukan, particularly because they're very familiar and very similar, would share lineage if you go far enough back. Um, so I think at this stage they had pedigrees and they knew their pedigrees, but it was still they were still refining the breed, and this happens today. I mean, we have breeds now, modern breeds that have been only refined in recent years. I'm trying to think of one in particular that's actively seeking recognition right now. Mini American Shepherds, perhaps, have been refined, at least over here. They're trying to refine it into its own breed, but they were still relatively new, and still crossbred up until recent years. Um, don't worry about asking questions though. As I said, I'll talk as much as I can. I dread to think what actual Akita people will think when they if they see this
Yeah.
panel. So
There's another question as well. Are Karafuto Kens officially extinct or still considered endangered?
um, I believe they are now extinct. I don't know of any living ones. If there is any still available alive, they will be what's considered functionally extinct, which is where there is no gene pool left for them. So last I knew, there was only one or two around. There's a Karafuto can. Yeah, last I knew, there was one or two still around, and that's all I know of. Which is really sad because there's a lot of wonderful history of that breed. Um, and you can go and see them in Japan in the museum with Hachi and Kaikurugo, which is I think it's Jiro that's with them from. If anyone's ever seen the movie Eight Below, it's what that's based off of.
Yeah, I did
Um,
just confirm that on. It says that they're critically endangered, but
if
yeah,
they
it does mention Jiro being at the National Museum of Nature and Science in Tokyo.
Taro is also there, but not at that museum. But he is. I recently learned that he was also preserved. I don't think many people know that. I believe he's in a college or a university somewhere. I will try and find a photo at some point. I'm not going to go searching around right now, but I will find a photo and I will show it at some point if I can find it. Um, um, Thank you to the Japanese Akita Club of America for helping me out here. Um, saw someone mention about silver brindle. Yeah, so silver brindle isn't a color in Japanese breeds. Tora brindle is generally used, I think, just for all across breeds, and then you'd use Akatora and Kurotora, which is red and black brindle. I think same as Kaiken, they only use red and black brindle. Silver brindle is never used. Shimofuri? Shimofuri, which is like the light grey brindle, the silvery brindle. That is a term, but I think there's nuance with that, whether or not it's just considered washed out or not. I think there'd be a lot of that's a Shiba. I'm trying to find another Akita. Um, a lot of nuance on where it becomes a washed out red brindle and where it's a true, Shimofuri as they call it. There's a nice Akita to look at that one. So yeah, silver brindle is not a true term. Why were they preserved? So yeah, Hachi was preserved because everyone knows his story. Jiro and Taro were preserved because their story is also important. The movie Eight Below shows it, but I believe they used huskies and
It
Alaskan
was the
Malamute.
Huskies and Malamutes
Yeah.
in that movie. Um,
The true story was they were Karafuto Ken, and it was a Japanese expedition to
it
Antarctica.
was, yeah, it was still Antarctica.
Yeah, where they left the dogs behind because they couldn't rescue the dogs, and the dogs survived for I can't remember how long it was off the top of my head. The dogs survived for a period alone, and when they went back, Taro and Jiro were still alive, so they were preserved because they were kind of famous for that. Kai Kurogo is preserved just because he's cute. That's my excuse. No, Kai Kurogo
Yeah,
was
it was
I
almost an
believe
entire year that they were by
was it a whole
themselves. Just,
year?
yeah, it
Wow.
was, they were expected to be replaced February 1958. Um, and then January 1959 was when the team returned, or was when they returned.
Wow. I
Uh,
didn't know it was
and
that
found
long.
out that, oh, hey, some of the dogs are still alive.
Yeah, Eight Below is a very. I remember watching it when I was a kid, so it's a good movie to watch if you want to look at it and then consider the true story of it being with those guys instead, and it kind
Yeah,
of makes that
it's
fact
not a,
that
it's definitely like the farthest based on a true story, but it's
yeah,
not. Yeah, because that one
but
most of the dogs live.
it's sad to think that the it makes me sad they didn't use. Obviously, there wasn't Karafuto Ken to use,
hmm
but it's sad that they didn't make a point of it being them because maybe that could have helped with their preservation.
hmm
So it's a real shame that they obviously the if there are any left, they're functionally extinct. So that's why we need to save the other breeds from that happening. Um, yeah. In terms of like other Akita history, they came to the UK um quite a long time ago. And they oh, I can talk about. I've got literally got information here about the split in America, so I can at least discuss that. Uh, so the breed had started to split because the Americans were taking to the transitional type Akita, which was where they were in the middle of the two breeds of what was being bred in Japan and what the Japanese breeders wanted to return to. So that was the transitional breed where they were what became the American Akita. They like the large dog. They like the big thing. So um, usually FCI, which is the European Kennel Club, it tries to follow the country of origin, but because there was that transitional period, um, there was a proper breed split put into place by the FCI. So both breeds could be developed, while in America they mainly focused on the American Akita until the Japanese Akita Club came along and started importing the proper Japanese type again. And there you are. They formally split relatively recently. I think only in 2020 the AKC, the American Kennel Club, accepted the Japanese Akita truly. Um, and then now it's in miscellaneous, and I think it's going. hopefully forward for full recognition over there. The breed has full recognition in the UK. It recently got the ability to have champion status, which is kind of like the final thing of, yeah, this breed is truly recognized here. So that was only recent in the UK. So um, where are we? What? You brought that up again. Don't get me started on the legislations. Yeah, so I mentioned about that in the other panel. There's no logic behind it. That's the simple fact. There's absolutely no logic behind these new laws. They're put in place by not judges, vets who, you got to remember, vets only see sick dogs usually. Like, I've got no issue with vets. I love my vets dearly, but the mass majority of vets are seeing injuries and sickness because that's what they're there for. It's the same as doctors only seeing sick people, you know. So what they're seeing and why they're writing this legislation is based on what they're seeing. They're seeing poorly bred dogs. They're not seeing the well bred champions that are extremely healthy and the people that are doing the right thing. Um, Brindle at this stage isn't actually affected. I mentioned about Brindle before, but I think when
It
you're
was
dealing with
Meryl.
legislation with a lot of nuance, there's a risk that people are going to see a Brindle dog and think it's Merle because people, regular pet people, don't understand the very details of genetics. They've never needed to. I didn't until I got really into these breeds. And
And I
Brindle's
guess it
genetics,
may be important to mention that Meryl, the problem with Meryl in a single dog is fine. It's when you
yes,
breed two Meryl dogs together that double Merrill gene can cause problems like
that's
blindness,
exactly it.
deafness, all of that. So that's that maybe was a little bit of information that was left out where there is a genetic link with Merrill coat colorings.
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't
regular
breed two
exactly.
Merrill dogs together.
But additionally to that, there is nuance with that too, because it depends on the length of the gene. So there are some Merle dogs that have a shorter length of the gene and they can be bred together. But I
Mhm.
don't know about this to talk on it in great detail, but there is a lot to the Merle gene that someone writing legislation doesn't know about, and they're just making a general assumption based on
Yeah,
double merle, which is
absolutely.
understandable. Double merle is a terrible thing. They shouldn't be bred, but the reputable breeders obviously aren't doing that, and
Hmm.
it's only going to affect reputable breeders because the ones that are doing it are purposely not, they're going against the current regulations. So why would they continue to listen to them?
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
stupid people that call for Akitas to be banned anyway because they think they're aggressive, and they're a guardian breed. You know, they're a hunting breed. Of course, they're gonna have. You know, they're gonna be reluctant of meeting strangers. But every Akita I've ever met, I mean, I usually get licked to death by them.
I feel like most dogs that I meet aren't do not like strangers.
Yeah,
They're like the super friendly with everyone dogs are the few and far between.
which I kind of prefer. Like, I like my dogs to not be all over everyone. I prefer it if Akiko isn't at risk of going home with anyone. But yeah, Brindle's genetics still aren't fully understood, so you know we don't have a full look at the panel of brindle coloring. So an uneducated person could very easily say, "Oh, that dog looks Merle." Like it could be brindle with patches. Like American Akitas can be brindle and Pinto at the same time. It could be that they might go, "Oh, it's Merle," if they don't know the breed doesn't come in Merle. Especially with the way that people now are breeding Merle into everything. um, and the import ban, the 6 month import ban is just ridiculous. It's just a nonsense thing. But this is supposed to be about Akitas, so I'm sorry I'm rambling about UK legislation.
Oh no, it's totally fine. Like whatever questions people want to ask and you are definitely more knowledgeable about the breed than the rest of us. So
I've loved every Akita I've ever met. They're wonderful dogs, and it's a real shame that now and Rio aren't here to talk about them in more depth.
Hmm.
I truly can't pretend I know more about the history than I do. Most of what I've said, I've been reading off notes from the past
Hmm.
times and from the websites. But it's one of the Akitas are one of those breeds that like the the history is, as I said, it's quite nuanced where people don't always follow the same line of truth. I know people in the UK that are adamant on one story of its history and being wrong about that. And one of the big issues with Japanese breeds is the people don't tend to write stuff down. The stories of Japanese dogs and their history is passed through word of mouth. This is the issue with the breed standards as well. That's why the Kaiken standard is so basic that it could probably refer to most breeds. Um, these are people would meet in person at their exhibitions and they talk word of mouth. So the history of the breeds are passed down through word of mouth. And those people that know that are dying out because the old breeders and old hunters, people don't live forever, and the stories die with them. So without new people learning it, we don't really know all the history. There's so much history of the Kaiken that was destroyed because the Kaiken Igokai's headquarters got bombed during the war. So we lost thousands of, you know, pedigrees and photos and things that because they just don't want to make it digital either now, and it's 2026 and they don't want to make things digital. It's difficult um, because it's always been word of mouth. You can look at the breed standard, but it won't tell you everything because those judges will know it based on the dogs they've met and the things they've been taught based on their mentors, because it's a very mentor heavy kind of thing. So much history and so much of the breed is it's taught rather than something that you can pick up from a book. But if anyone has any questions about, as I said, I'm not big on the Akita stuff, but I'll answer what else I can. So please feel free to ask me stuff because I don't know what else to ramble about.
Yeah, anyone can post question in the chat or unmute themselves, anything like that. Trying to think of any other interesting. Because, like, I'm even trying to think of, like, the weird information about Akitas that we have over here in the US. And I'm like, the
There's,
first thing that comes to mind is the whole, like, oh, the American Akitas were all bred from Helen Keller's Akitas. And it's like, no, no.
there's some
Helen Keller
great
did
myths.
have Akitas, but that's not where the American branch of the breed came from.
There's so many good myths about the Akitas. Let me see if I can find the list that the American Kennel Club, the American Breed Club did. Akita,
Mhm.
Akita.
I do have to say that the American Akitas that I have met, they are definitely more friendly towards strangers than the Japanese Akitas. Like, so that's definitely a trait that I feel like has probably been bred into them. Um, yeah, they're definitely made by or they're definitely like the big yeah, they're much bigger and
Yeah,
what's a good
less of
word?
that.
What's good for word for that? They're just more smooshable, if
Yeah,
that makes
they're
sense.
slightly less refined, I suppose.
Yeah, it's just like the photos that we would get of Buck in the
I love
Giga
Buck.
server, just like, oh, you are just, I just want to smoosh your face.
I would like to smush Buck. White American Akitas, I'm sure, are in the breed standard over here, but I might be wrong. I can definitely talk about Kishu. I know more about Kishu than Akita's.
I'm
I'm
kind of
trying to think.
looking up white American Akitas right now too. Just doing some
Uh,
googling, seeing what I can find. Oh, so cute.
yeah, so Kishu come in. The three most popular colors are white, sesame, and red. I've only ever met white Kishu, which is sad because I love them all dearly, and I would want a sesame. I think um, they're really cool dogs. So yeah, so what happened is traditionally, I believe sesame was more common. We call it yushoku, which just means colored in general with them. So I believe originally the yushoku dogs were more popular. And then I think when the show ring kind of they started showing them more, the white dogs kind of got a bit more popularity. Just bear with me. And unfortunately, when they came to America, so they came to America way before this particular breeder got their hands on them, but the first kind of major breeder in the States has this thing about the white coats and made this very kind of aggressive thing of, oh, the white coats are the only coats. The colored coats are less desirable, and it's not true. They're all of the coat colors are equally desirable in Kishukan. But that did mean that most of the early imports and stuff were all white dogs, so they predominantly were known for being white. It was only when breeders like Brad Anderson of Hakuzan Kennel, and CJ from Akiyama no Ryosha, I think it is, or Roshia. Yes, sorry, we're talking about Kishu. Um, when they kind of started bringing dogs over, they did predominantly Yushoku dogs, and kind of now there's a really good substantial amount of them in America, which is good because we don't want that. We don't want colors to go extinct. So Kishu can come in black and tan as well, but that's another case of things of being functionally extinct, where there's only a handful of breeders in Japan still breeding them, and they're usually hunting line dogs, so they're not tending to be bred from pedigree lines. Um, Occasionally, you'll get a brindle pop up. I think Shigeru, who I mentioned in my panel, who has the hunting line dogs, I'm sure he's produced a brindle Kishu, which is really cool. Um, and they can be Pinto. It's same as like an American Akita, but it's not. Oh, sorry. I think you might be able to hear my parents talking. Sorry about that. Yeah, they can be Pinto. There's specific kennels breeding it, but it's not breed standard as far as I know. I think it's a fault, but I'm not 100% sure. Um, where are we? What am I thinking about? Yeah, so over here for a while, I think in UKC, because I think that was the only person doing it, they did try and push that it was only white, but that was never the case. It was just that that particular kennel only liked white dogs. So, which is a real shame because we could have had more Yushoku Kishu to start with, but that's luckily that myth has been kind of pushed away now. But when you first kind of Google it, that's unfortunately what comes up because she was she I believe she still breeds as well, was the kind of person that pushed all that very early information. I'm sure her website used to say something like, I think it said white preferred, which has never been the case. They've always, all of the colors are equal in the breed. Um, I'd love to see more brindle and black and tan. Brindle isn't breed standard for Kishu, whereas black and tan technically still is. But I love brindle dogs because, I love Kaiken. So, yeah, I think it would be really neat to see more different colored Kishu appear in Ginga. I think, it'd be really cool to have some Sesame dogs. Um, But no, they've all got to be white like Akame. um, yeah, that's Kishu colors, I guess. The best person for Kishu stuff is CJ, who runs the Kishu Club in America. They are exceptionally educated on this breed. So if you want to learn more about Kishu in particular, I highly recommend looking up the National Kishu Club because CJ is just the pro and has the coolest dogs and is just a really nice person in general. So highly recommend CJ. And I love seeing all of the Sesame Kishu OCs because it makes me very happy. So please keep doing that.
Here, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So like I know that I've seen photos of like long-haired Akitas. Are there
Yes.
long-haired versions of the other breeds?
So there are. So it's called Moku is the term for it. There are Moku Shiba. One of my very good friends who I do shows with around this area. She has a Moku Shiba that she shows, which they're not supposed to do, but she does it for fun. Shiba Mokus are the most common. I think you'd see after the Akita. I've never seen a long-haired Shikoku. I've never seen a long-haired Kishu, but long coat Kaiken do exist. I've seen two, and they were both in France, I believe. I think they came from the early lines that came over because the breeders that started the breed in France were not very reputable. And I think they came from there, but I've never seen any more than those two. Um, if you search for Moku in the Ginga Discord, I think the photos will come up because I've definitely shared them. As Barry said, I've definitely shared them.
Let me see
And
if I can find it to
they're
share.
such cool dogs. If they are French, they'll be related to Nami as well because if they're from those lines, because Nami's from those lines. Um,
I'm
and
seeing some of the
Hokkaido,
Akitas.
I've only um, heard stories of long coated Hokkaido, but Hokkaido have longer fur, thicker fur than the other breeds traditionally anyway, just based on from where they live because of the much colder weather. Um, but yeah, Kaikan, Shiba, and Akita all have the long coat for sure. The others, I wouldn't be surprised if it popped up, but um, yeah, there we go. There he is. They're really cool. I think they're very, very cute.
Yeah, that's I somehow missed that photo getting posted. That's adorable.
I'm very, very partial to um like hidden genes in breeds. I know I shouldn't be as a reputable breeder, but I love long haired Kai. I love cream Kai. I think
Yeah,
they're
there were
so
a couple
cool.
of yeah, there's the long-haired Akitas, just
They're
fluffy.
so cute. I love them. I would love to see a long coated Kishu, especially a Sesame. I think that'd be amazing. But I don't think there's ever been one that I know of.
I think it's another
But they're very cute.
long-haired Akita. Just the
Oh, Nami, why are you
fluffiest.
snoring?
Yeah, I think that was the. Oh,
Oh, there's the other
there's
one.
another photo.
Yeah, that's a different one. They're two separate Kai. So um, I love it. I think it's really cute. I wouldn't be sad if one popped up for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, wouldn't be able to breed it, but I would just probably just squish it forever.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as I know,
Looks so
none of my
regal.
dogs carry the gene for it. Mine have Pinto, carry the Pinto gene, but Pinto doesn't express the same way in Kaikan.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and um, and they can be cream. So cream, I've just seen someone mentioned. cream is solid in Kaiken because the cream coloring covers brindle. It's exactly the same as in it's the same gene as what you'd see in a Labrador or a Golden Retriever. It's the same gene again in Akitas, so this is relative, like slightly relevant for them all. Um, in that the white just covers everything, so genetically the dog is still brindle, but it's covered by the cream. The cream is it's a recessive gene, but it covers the brindle, so there can be no brindle expressed. So you wouldn't see a cream dog with brindle stripes. Um, there's no silver brindle exactly, but you will get that same kind of poor quality brindle, we would call it in Kaikan. Don't know what they specifically call it in Akita, if they would also use poor quality as that term, but it's not silver as such. It would be where the brindle itself is so thin because the black is the brindle. So remember that when you're looking at a black dog, a very black brindle, Akita, not Akita, Kaikan, the brindle is the black. So that would mean a very densely brindled dog. Whereas a red brindle dog, you might think, oh, that's a really brindle dog. But no, the brindle being the black. So an Akatora dog is actually sparsely brindled. So you could say that a very sparsely brindled Akatora that has low quality coloring might appear to be what you call silver brindle because they're very washed out in color. But there's no true silver brindle in the breed. They'd still technically be Akatora, but it would be a low quality dog. Well, not low quality dog, but low quality brindle. I've seen a couple pop up in Japan just from pet owners, but none off the top of my head that I can think of. You wouldn't see it in the show ring. You wouldn't see it in the major breeding. Most people tend to breed medium brindle dogs because if you breed a medium brindle to a medium brindle, you're going to get good quality brindling. Whereas if you breed two of those lighter brindles together, you're just going to keep getting low quality brindle until you end up with a dog that's just completely washed out. I would imagine they do the same in Akita. I think that's why you don't tend to see the light brindles being bred together. Um, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But that's the case in Kaikan. It's frowned upon to breed two red brindles together because you can't actually breed for red brindle. Like people want red brindles because they're pretty, but you can't breed for it. You just wash it out. So yeah, sadly, no real Harutoras.
Feel like this is a pretty uh accurate sort of
Yes,
describing the black,
yes,
being denser versus,
yeah. I've always wanted to make an animation of it where like you'd see it disappearing, but I never had the energy to do it
Mhm,
because yeah. So that's a really good example of it. To be fair,
mhm.
Kai Society of America made that one, and it
Yeah, because I was
shows
like
it.
looking at the others and I'm like, no, it's not different coat colors. It's the
Yeah,
same
no,
kind of
that's
color. It's the density of the brindle.
yes. So when you see the on the red one, you can kind of see. Actually, if you go immediately below that, there is a photo of Doggy. Who that's that Kaikan you're hovering over there. Her name is Doggy, and you can kind of see the Urajiro on her face
Mhm.
because that the red being that kind of base coat is you can often see it on the red dogs more than you can on the darker dogs. But they do have those white Urajiro markings, the same as Akita and Shiba do, which is cool. I like it. No, it's not unrealistic, and it's one thing that bugs me when people like argue that it is. It's incorrectly drawn because the brindle would still kind of cover it,
Mhm.
I think.
Yeah, you
But
can
for
still
me,
kind of see it going over these
yeah.
areas.
But I personally I love uh the white on it because it shows the Eurogiro, and I like it. I know not every Kai owner will agree with me, but I think it's cool. So I like how they're drawn in the manga.
Let's see if
Um,
there's another
it's just mad. I know most of
that
these
he shows.
dogs.
Yeah.
Like, there's a Kiko. Not that one, but she is on there. Both of the Kiko's parents.
But
That's
yeah,
Doggy
no,
there
I
as
was just
well.
like, oh, here you can see a bit more of the white kind of or lighter color
Yeah.
kind of coming through.
Shoki, my boy, yeah, there's a Kiko.
Yeah, I'm like, I recognize
um,
that face.
um,
The densest of Brindle.
she just has like an eyebrow.
Yeah, yeah, just a little bit.
Eyebrow. She's gotten more brindle as she's aged. And Nami's just like split in half. She's like half red brindle, half brown brindle, half black. Not all red brindles will show Urajiro as well as others, but
Hmm.
it's um it's very interesting how different they can look in terms of their brindle. I love that I know all these dogs. I could just sit there and name them. Like I literally like
Literally, I just searched Kaiken colors to be like, where's a good example of
like
that
this is
Brindle
fun game
density?
to just after naming dogs. Like I can see there's Sachi, there's Sasaki, Doggy, Yuna, that's Akiko's mum. Kurisu is on there. It's Sasaki again. Both Akiko's parents. Sachi again. Kiko's dad. Musashi. Literally, it's ridiculous. I love these dogs.
Oh, here's Sunny is talking about
Let's have a look.
game here.
Yeah, so in this case, that obviously that's not what they would look like with a cream one. Let me get a cream Kai for you just so you can see it. I should have kept the cream game in from last year because that was fun. Uh, we do see like a decent amount of cream Kai popping up. I think one's called Goku. Cream Kai Goku. There we go. So we do see them popping up in well-bred litters as well because it's it's just a gene. It pops up. My boy carries it, so I'll never breed him to a cream carrier because I don't want to produce cream dog. Well, if they popped up by accident, I wouldn't mind, but I don't want to intentionally breed for it. There's a cream Kaiken for you. In
I
the
don't think you're sharing. Oh, in
I
the
put it in the
Discord.
chat. Sorry, I didn't even think.
Oh, no problem. Let me just bring
Yeah,
that back up for people to see on my screen here.
and let me grab a red Kaiken, which is where the we believe only one of the brindle genes is exhibiting. Where are we? This is from one of my kind of acquaintances who breeds Kishukan, who owns a Kaikan that has no brindle, just a black mask, kind of like a sesame, but we consider it red.
Oh,
He's
so
very
cute.
cute. They're very very cute. I think his name is Wagyu, which I think is very cute. Um, and basically, the theory behind that is that because Kaikan is supposed to be fixed for brindle, we think that they only carry one copy of the gene. Um, Interesting to see like how it continues to progress. We see them pop up in Japan, not relatively often, but they don't really gene test in Japan, so we see more uncommon colors pop up there versus over here. I'm trying to
Hmm.
remember who had the really light colored Kai, but uh, Um, I can't see any at the minute, but if I find one, I will send one at some point in the Discord for you to see of a lighter coloured brindle. Um, you mostly see black and medium brindle dogs these days. There's not many true red brindles out there, so when they do pop up, they tend to be higher quality than what we're looking for here as a diluted color. So it's quite hard to find them. I'm very sorry that I turned the Akita panel into Kaiken panel again.
No,
Feel like
that's
I should
okay.
talk.
We kind of put you on the spot to be like, hey, talk about more dogs.
No, I'm always happy to talk about dogs. I just hope that I haven't offended the Akita people too much because I don't really know what I'm talking about with them. I used to like have this fountain of knowledge for all the breeds, but then as I really focus my energy on Kaiken, it's just kind of shriveled up a little bit. But I care so deeply about them, so I'm very glad that people are enjoying hearing me talk. Because normally I hate the sound of my own voice, but I'll talk about dogs for days. So,
Yeah.
and it's glad to hear people want to get involved in these breeds and want the chance to own them because they're such wonderful dogs. I can't really express how incredible it is to have the honor to own them and to be around them because it's a privilege that we get to experience them while they're still here because as I explained in my panel they are at risk of extinction. Even the Akita is rare and could potentially be at risk because there's only so many lines, only so many breed lines, and if good breeders die out because of these legislations and stuff, the breeds will die out too. You know, no one's going to want to keep breeding if the world is against them and they're at risk of,
Hmm.
you know, criminal charges, for example, when there's no real reason for it. Um, so people don't, people aren't going to have the energy to keep breeding. People aren't going to have the money to put into the licensing and stuff. Especially if they're only having the odd litter. Like I have bred one litter, and I will potentially have my second litter this year if she ever comes into season. Um, so I don't make any money from this. Like when I did my first litter, I lost money because I only had two puppies and I kept one of them. So the legislation is under the impression we're all making loads of money from this, and
Hmm.
we're really not. We're trying not to anyway.
Yeah, all good breeders, even of like other animals, like I know a lot of like the chinchilla breeders and stuff. It's like
Yeah.
they don't make a lot of money off of it. They don't even barely make anything. Like
And get
because
me
they're
wrong,
just in love with putting like continuing the animal like, hey,
exactly.
let's yeah.
Like don't get me wrong. It's not like an automatic sign of a bad breeder if they do make money.
Yeah.
They're just lucky because it
Hmm.
is a gamble. Like it's not for me. It's never going to be a money maker because the amount of money I'm putting into it. I run the club pretty much by myself. When I do events, I'm funding them myself. Everything I put into it is because it's what I love. It's not. I don't want to make money from it. If I do, any money I make will go into the club. As I said recently, I've got a 3D printer. I might start making some Kaikan stuff, but the money for that will go into the club because I just want to keep it going.
Hmm.
Uh, any money I make for my litters will go back onto helping possibly import other dogs while we still can, or just to continue educating people. Because but if I manage to make a little bit of money from it, great. But otherwise, I don't care because it's what matters is not letting the breed die out in my lifetime, which it could happen. Kaikan, maybe not. Maybe we still have a few more generations. But the Hokkaido Ken and the Kishu Ken, it's a matter of years, not decades with them. So if you're in this chat and you're thinking of a Japanese breed, it's always in my interest to push the Kaikan because they're my breed and I love them. But if a Kishu Ken or a Hokkaido Ken could fit for you, I would highly recommend looking into them because they're wonderful dogs and they deserve the chance to not die out, especially and particularly biased because Kishu would be my second breed, so I would push for Kishu. But Hokkaido are great too. Naga does need a Kaikan sibling, and she needs it now. So you got to materialize a Kaikan right now. Um, if anyone is genuinely interested in potentially owning the breeds, you're always welcome to message me, and I will happily recommend breeders. I know breeders across all of the breeds that I can recommend. Less with Hokkaido, but there is some good ones. There's an up and coming breeder in the States who breeds Hokkaido and Kaikan, and I'm really impressed with what she's doing in terms of her program. I think her kennel is Kori no Ken. She's very new to it all, as far as I can tell. I think she's had 2 litters, one Hokkaido, one Kishu, one Kai. Is very involved with all of the breeds. I think she's going to get into Kishu, and I'm really impressed with what she's doing so far. So if you're interested in either of those breeds and you're in the States, she's worth looking into. CJ I mentioned before in Kishu, highly recommend CJ for all Kishu things. CJ also does Shikoku and has 2 Shikoku puppies available at the moment. So if you want a Shikoku Ken, you should go to CJ. Now in Rio, I can't recommend enough for Akita. So if you ever,
I just
yeah,
saw
yeah, that's
puppies.
McKenna, Cory no Ken.
I'm like, people need to see the puppies.
Yes, huge respect to McKenna because she's had some issues popping up in her lines, and she's been 100% transparent about it. She's also part of the reason we discovered a new gene in the Kaikan that we didn't know about, to do with copper storage and stuff like that. Still learning about that, but we'll see. And yeah, so the new gene with Kaikan, we don't really understand it yet, but it's something to do with copper, a gene that affects copper toxicity, I think it is. Um, as far as we know, no dogs have been affected by it. We think it's one of those genes that tends to just be carried rather than affected, but we're still waiting to learn a bit more about it. But McKenna was really key in educating about that, so huge props to her. As Berry said, Tane is fantastic. Tane is my dearest friend in Kaikan. I adore her and I adore her dogs. I'm planning on breeding to her stud dog at some point, when I can afford to ship the stuff over, because it's very expensive to do so. Um, what's Tane's username? I think it's just Tane Rose or Tane Marie. It's OMG Tane. If you follow Tane, if you want to see Kaikan doing stuff, she is the person, and she's very good friends with CJ, who does the Kishu stuff too. So you can't go wrong with Tane. She's brilliant. Um, Aoyama Shikoku Ken, in the States, a very good Shikoku Ken breeder. If you're interested in that breed, um, really does a lot of stuff with her dogs. Works closely with CJ as well. I think his friends are Tane too. You kind of look at that kind of friend group. They're great people. They're all really lovely people. Who've all been very supportive of me and very kind to me. So um, people worth following if you're interested in the breeds. Um, there's so many good breeders in Europe as well. European breeders, Finnish breeders. Finland's kind of got the prime real estate on Japanese dogs. So but yeah, if anyone does genuinely want to look at getting one of these dogs, even if it's far in the future, like you said, Fenrir, it's not suitable for you now, but if you're genuinely interested in the breed, it's so worth following these people and talking to them and making friends. I was making friends in the breed way before I got a Kiko, and most people are lovely. So there's a lot of people I don't personally talk to because of me being a bit of a troublemaker in the past. But as I said in my panel, I came into the breed with very high expectations of what a reputable breeder is, and learned very quickly that not everything's black and white. Um, So that's some regrets I have, but it's worth keeping in mind, and it's worth reaching out and making friends. And yes, Barry, Bakugo. I'm hoping to breed Nami to Bakugo. I just need to import the stuff. So I love Bakugo very dearly. He's so cute. He's lovely. So I've rambled for 2 hours about Japanese dogs now. So I'm very sorry for everyone that wanted to just hear about Akitas today. I've mostly talked about my dogs and about Kaikan, but at least you've heard a little bit about Kishu and stuff too. So message me anytime if you want to talk about Japanese dogs. I'm always here to educate and help. And hopefully, I didn't ruin anybody's day. And
Oh,
thank you.
always great information.
I'm very sorry. The second part was obviously very unprepared, but I'm glad you all still enjoyed it.
Yeah, just sort of a saving us from being like, oh no, we can't get our Akita people on, unfortunately.
So hopefully now and Rio won't mind me filling their spot. I'm sure they won't mind. And hopefully you can always ask them about Akita stuff. They love to talk about their dogs. So
Yeah,
they're
and
so
I'm sure if they had a presentation available, then they'll be able to just share it and we'll be able to put that up for people to
I'm sure they will.
view as
They're
well. Yeah.
truly just the best people to talk about these dogs with. Like they've taught me so much, and I think I've taught them a lot too because we've been friends in the breed since before I got a Kiko now. So it'll be 10 years since I met them next year. So it's really nice. So um, always go to them for Akita stuff in the future. Hopefully they'll
Mhm.
be around again. But thank you again for having me again, and I'll still be around until the end because I'm nosing in.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, thank you for another great panel from not me because I'm terrible, but.